I didn't catch him cheating in a dramatic way. There was no sudden discovery or loud argument, just a quiet realization that grew slowly until I could no longer pretend I didn't see it. It started with small changes, the kind you can easily ignore if you want to keep things peaceful. And for a while, I chose peace over truth because it felt easier. He began coming home a little later than usual, always with simple explanations that sounded reasonable, and I nodded along even when something inside me felt slightly unsettled. I noticed how protective he became of his phone, not in an obvious way, just subtle enough to avoid suspicion, but enough for me to feel the shift. There were moments when he smiled at his screen, a quiet smile that didn't belong to me, and I told myself it meant nothing, even though I knew it did. The truth is, I saw everything long before I admitted it to myself. I just didn't want to face what it meant because that would change everything. One night, I stopped lying to myself, and in that moment, everything became clear without needing proof or confirmation from anyone else. He was cheating, and I knew it with a calm certainty that surprised even me, because I didn't feel anger right away. I felt something else entirely. I felt control, because knowing the truth meant I could decide what happened next. And I didn't want to waste that power on a reaction. I didn't confront him. I didn't question him. I didn't even change my behavior because I understood something important in that moment. If he thought I didn't know, he would continue exactly as he was, and that would give me the time and clarity I needed. So I stayed quiet, not because I was weak, but because I was thinking. And thinking gave me more power than reacting ever could. I started paying attention more carefully, noticing patterns I had once ignored, seeing connections that had always been there but never fully acknowledged. The more I observed, the more obvious everything became. The late nights, the repeated excuses, the way his tone changed when certain messages appeared. He thought he was being careful, but comfort makes people careless, and I let him stay comfortable because it worked in my favor. That's when I made a decision that even I didn't fully understand at first, a decision that would change everything that followed. I decided to help him, not in an emotional or supportive way, but in a calculated, controlled way that served a purpose only. I understood. The first time I covered for him, it felt strange, almost unreal, like I was stepping into a role I never imagined I would play. He said he had to stay late for work, and I casually mentioned to someone else that he was busy, making his lies stronger without him even realizing it. That small moment changed everything, because I saw how easily trust could be used as a tool instead of just a feeling. He became more relaxed after that, more confident in his lies, and I could see it in the way he spoke and moved. I made things easier for him. I stopped asking questions. I stopped noticing things out loud, and in doing that, I gave him freedom. But that freedom came with a cost he didn't understand. Because the more comfortable he became, the more he revealed without realizing it. I wasn't ignoring the truth anymore. I was collecting it piece by piece, moment by moment, without rushing or forcing anything. Every message, every excuse, every change in behavior became part of a larger picture that I was quietly building in my mind. I didn't need to search for evidence. It came to me naturally because I had removed all pressure from the situation. He started trusting me more than ever, and that was the part that felt almost ironic, because his trust was built on my silence. There were times when he even shared small details without realizing what they meant, and I listened carefully without reacting. I became the safest place for him, the last person he would ever suspect of knowing the truth, and that gave me complete control. Days turned into weeks, and my plan became clearer with each passing moment, not out of anger, but out of clarity and understanding. I wasn't trying to hurt him. I was trying to reveal the truth in a way that could not be denied or explained away. I knew that confrontation would only lead to excuses, denial, and confusion, and I didn't want any of that. I wanted certainty, not just for myself, but for everyone who would eventually see what he had been hiding. So I waited, patiently and carefully, allowing everything to unfold naturally while I quietly prepared for what was coming. The more I helped him, the more careless he became. And the more careless he became, the more obvious everything was. He stopped hiding as much, he stopped being cautious, and he began to believe that nothing would ever be discovered. That belief was exactly what I needed, because it meant he would walk directly into the moment I was preparing. I chose the time carefully, not randomly, not emotionally, but strategically, because timing can change the impact of everything. It wasn't going to be a private conversation. It wasn't going to be a quiet ending. It was going to be something else entirely. I planned it for a moment when the truth would matter the most, when it could not be ignored or minimized. A family gathering, a simple evening that felt normal on the surface, but held something much bigger underneath. Everything looked the same as always. The conversations, the laughter, the comfort of familiar faces, and he felt completely at ease. I watched him that night, calm and relaxed, unaware that everything he had been hiding was about to come to light when the moment felt right. I didn't rush it. I didn't hesitate. I simply moved forward with the plan I had already decided on. I spoke calmly, without anger, without emotion, and that calmness made every word stronger than any reaction ever could. I didn't accuse him directly. I presented the truth piece by piece, allowing everyone to see it for themselves. The messages, the patterns, the timelines, everything was clear, organized, and impossible to deny or explain away. The room went silent, not because of shock alone, but because of the clarity of what was being revealed. He tried to speak, to explain, to shift the situation, but there was nothing left to manipulate or hide behind. And in that moment, I realized something important. This was never about revenge. It was about truth. And the truth had finally spoken.